sun is shining brightly in Foxborough Stadium as the Indianapolis Colts try to hang on to their slight playoff hopes, taking on the New England Patriots, but strong winds have produced a -5 wind chill factor for this afternoon's game. Hi, everybody. Dan Hicks along with Dan Hampton. The Indianapolis Colts with a huge overtime win against the Buffalo Bills last week, Dan, kept alive their slight postseason hopes, but they also found out a couple of big discoveries about their football team as well.
Well, they found out that backup quarterback Jack Tredeau can not only beat a good team like Buffalo, but they can come from behind in the fourth quarter to do so. Now, they benefited by the deployment of a 2 tight end offense to slow down that great pass rush from the Buffalo Bills. But also they found out about Charles Arbuckle. Now, this first-year pro from UCLA caught 9 balls for 106 yards. Hey, he's a new weapon.
All right, the New England Patriots are going nowhere in the postseason. They'll build for next season, but that old buzzword controversy back in New England once again this week.
Well, the reason is Millen gets to start after being out 6 weeks with a bad shoulder. Now, he will make the start in place of emotional Scott Zolak, who was able to rally his club for their only 2 wins of the season. And, you know, a lot of folks say, why play Millen? Well, he says he's as healthy as he'll be the rest of the year. I'm going to help this team do everything I can.
So the Indianapolis Colts kick off to New England, and this is Walter Stanley trying to make his way to the 20-yard line, but flags in from every direction.
Tackle was made by Charles Arbuckle. Joining us today, honorary Toys R Us T-Boy is Drew Lyons from Denver.
And a holding call against New England.
Holding number 87, receiving team, half the distance to the goal, first down.
So that will pin the Patriots back even deeper. The holding call on Ben Coates as Walter Stanley came out.
Well, a lot of times when a receiver catches the ball and then tries to cross the field, he will double cross his blockers. They think he's going up inside. The defender will change directions. That time Ben got caught for a hold.
Well, Hugh Millen quarterbacks the New England Patriots. He's missed the last 6 games with a badly separated shoulder, and he gets the start over Scott Zolak, who, as Dan mentioned at the top of the show, has picked up the only 2 wins as a starting quarterback for New England. Millen is 0-7 as the starter this year, and 1st and 10 from his own 6-yard line. And the give is to Leonard Russell, swinging out left across the 10-yard line, and Leonard Russell is a part of that New England backfield for the first time in 3 weeks. He has had a bad hip and gets his first start in 3 weeks. John Stevens, the fullback, Fryer and McMurtry, the wideouts, and the tight end is Marv Cook.
6 yards on the run to the 13-yard line.
Up front, Harlow, Redding, Chilton, Williams, and the rookie #1 pick for New England in the draft is number 69, Eugene Chong. Gain of 6 on the play, so it'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Patriots. And it's Russell again, and this time he is stopped in the backfield. A loss on the play. Number 51, Chip Banks, stopped him in the backfield. And setting the Indianapolis Colts defensively this afternoon, McClendon getting the start at left end for Sam Clancy, Siragusa, Hand, Banks, Radisek continuing to play well. He's been playing for the injured Quentin Coriat, the #2 pick in the NFL. Harrod has had a bad shoulder, but he's having another outstanding season. Good, Daniel, Baylor, and Pryor in the defensive secondary. And here's a 3rd down conversion. The Patriots have made only 34% of those this year, and they will not get this one as well, as Ben Coates got the carry for New England. He was brought down by Tony Siragusa. Dante Scarnecchia, the team staff spokesman. This will be his 5th game in that role since taking over for Dick McPherson, who is recovering rapidly, by the way, from the diverticulitis surgery on November 13th. And we understand that Dick McPherson is at this game, but he will stay out of any coaching strategy. And so New England in punt formation. Sean McCarthy to kick to Clarence Verdun, who will wave it off. The ball lands at the 45-yard line and comes back into Indianapolis Colts territory at the 47, where the Colts will take over. 40-yard punt. no
The
return.
Colts will have the football on offensive football.
And here is Jack Tredeau
working from their own 46.
getting his third start as the backup for Jeff George, who continues to try to come back from a broken thumb. Anthony Johnson, he is the featured back, but we will also see a double tight end formation. Kerry Cash along with Charles Arbuckle, who caught his first passes in the NFL last week. They totaled 9. Mattis, Dixon, Donaldson, Solt, and Call up front for Tredeau. 1st and 10, the ball at the Patriot 46. And the give is to Anthony Johnson, and he's got some good running room across the 40. As we stack up the New England Patriots defense this afternoon, David Howard made the stop there on Johnson. It is a good front 7. Agnew, Gold, and Williams are the tackles up front. Tippett, Brown, who's having another outstanding season, one of the 4 linebackers along with Remberg. And David Howard is filling in for Chris Singleton, who had to leave last week's game with a sprained ankle. Poole, Hurst, Gordon, and Robbins are the defensive backs. Anthony Johnson apparently shaken up on the play. He leaves the game holding his stomach, and number 35, Rodney Culver, takes his place in the Colt backfield.
Well, once again, we see the Colts deploying that 2 tight end offense. That one was good to stack everybody up, get a quick 6-yard break.
On 2nd and 4, movement on the line, and it appeared that the right tackle, Kevin Paul, number 71, moved. It is another makeshift offensive lineup.
Number 71
up front for Indianapolis.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And Kevin Paul, who's been slowed by an ankle, moves prematurely.
Well, it looks like on that play, Kevin was trying to jump the gun, get a down block down on the nose tackle for the Patriots. Obviously, that meant that they were trying to go outside. We'll see if they want to try the same play again. Now they went back with a 2 tight end set.
2nd down and 9. Tredeau looks to the right and has his receiver, number 35, Rodney Culver, out of the backfield.
Defensively, David Poole as a penalty marker.
So Culver is in there for Anthony Johnson right now, but another flag on the field. And Jerry Markbright, our referee.
Holding, number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Another penalty on the offensive line, this time Ron Solt, who missed last week's game because of a shoulder injury, picks up the hold, and penalties have killed the Colts all season long, Dan.
I don't know. Something's scaring those guys on that side of the offensive line. Kevin jumps off, then Solt has to hold someone, so they haven't got untracked here early in the game. But I think that it's interesting to watch Jack Tredeau operate this offense. He's a very smart quarterback now, matured. He'll take what the defense gives him.
Jesse Hester and Langhorne in at the wideouts for the Colts, but Tredeau elects to go to his tight end underneath, Kerry Cash, who is well short of the 1st down and dragged down by a host of Patriots, David Howard and Vincent Brown, the principals.
That'll bring up
Jack Tredeau in his 7th year out of Illinois. 1-3 as a starter this year, and this is the 8th time in his career that he has come in as a backup. And you can see that he's really not considered a backup quarterback because he's had so much time in the Colts backfield. The Colts' 3rd time all-leading quarterback in passing yards and number of passes completed. Third and 13. Tredeau has time. Rodney Culver out of the backfield. Very close to a 1st down, run out of bounds by the left cornerback, David Poole.
Rodney Culver on
now, a lot of times the Indianapolis Colts will abandon a conventional running game and try to get the ball to the running backs out in the flat and basically use this in place of the running offense. Now here, Tredeau goes down, scans the field, sees that he really has nowhere to go except dump it off to Culver and see what he can do with his running ability.
Well, Culver picks up his 2nd reception of the game. And on 4th and 1, the Colts will go for it at the Patriot 37-yard line. And a timeout is called by Indianapolis, and Tredeau will talk things over with Ted Marchibroda. Opening moments from Foxborough Stadium. No score. We'll be back in a moment.
First case of the #1 name in refreshment.
No score from Foxborough Stadium, but Jack Tredeau and the Indianapolis Colts obviously a little bit confused. They called a timeout on the 4th and 1.
Well, it does look like Tredeau is confused there. You'll see him give the 2, the 5. It looks like he wants to go with 2 tight ends against the 5-man front. I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to add. Jack's from Illinois. It's 7, Jack. 7.
So the first big play of the game for Ted Marchibroda, whose team comes in with a 5-7 record and slight playoff hopes, but another reason perhaps Jack Tredeau called the timeout. He's still getting used to the Indianapolis offense because Ted Marchibroda brought a brand new scheme this year, and Tredeau held out for most of the preseason.
Well, he told us yesterday, hey, I really haven't had a chance to be in camp until I had to be thrown into action here the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, Maurice Carthon is the blocking back for Rodney Culver on 4th and 1. And it is Culver, and he might have been short, but we'll see where the officials spot the football.
It's going to be very
Brown
close.
met him.
Very close.
Randy Robbins, Vincent Brown making the stop.
Well, Indianapolis has never been known this season as being a team that moved people off the line. Now, they got a huge line, but they really don't have that style of an attack that moves the pile. There, it looked like penetration from the Patriots caused them to miss this critical first down try.
Cincinnati, nothing.
And Rodney Culver picks up the first down for the Colts.
Good spot.
And Dante Scarnecchi, his team backed up early.
Well, it looks like David Howard busted through a gap there, missed the back in the backfield, allowing him to go ahead and fall and make the first down by just inches.
So the Indianapolis Colts now 7 for 15 on 4th down attempts this year. And the pitch to Culver on the right side. He's inside the 35, down to the 32-yard line, where Ray Agnew and Vincent Brown were there to meet him.
On the tackle.
Well, it has been an anemic rushing year for the Indianapolis Colts, to say the least. They're 834 yards this season, the lowest in the NFL. In fact, 9 NFL running backs have rushed for more rushing yards than the entire Colt team.
Well, it's been a grab bag type of offense, always coming from behind, but if they can run, they're a lot better offense.
Jack Tredeau to pass, and he'll run it out of bounds.
Goes out of bounds.
The report on Anthony Johnson, sprained ribs. His return to this game questionable, so that Colt rushing game takes an early shot as well.
Don't miss out on any of the action this season.
Hicks, I don't know if I've ever heard of sprained ribs. I thought a sprain was in a joint area. That must be a heck of a shock to Anthony to be called sprained ribs. I think that this kid right here is one of the main ingredients to any successful Colt offense. He can catch the ball, he can run the ball. They're going to miss him an awful lot.
3rd and 4. And Tredeau goes to his tight end, Kerry Cash, who picks up the first down and more, all the way down to the 16-yard line.
Driven out of bounds by David Howard.
David Howard drove him out of bounds. So Kerry Cash, in many ways, the forgotten tight end last week with a huge day that Charles Arbuckle had.
Well, the Colts like both their tight ends, Kerry Cash and Charles Arbuckle. You can see both can catch and run. There it looks like Jesse Hester gets a little bit of a screen block to allow Kerry to get on around the corner.
25th reception of the year for Kerry Cash, his 2nd year out of Texas. Double tight ends now, Cash and Arbuckle in the offensive set for Jack Tredeau. And this is Culver. Inside the 15, down to the 12-yard line. Nose tackle Tim Goad was there to meet him, number 72.
Down by Ray Agnew.
Now, when an offense goes to a 2 tight end set, what they're trying to do is get a lot more beef at the point of attack. Here you see Charles Arbuckle fighting David Howard back to the outside, clearing the way for the counter trey to hit up inside there. Now, as a man-on-man offense versus defensive matchup, the Colts are about 50 pounds a man heavier than the Patriots.
2nd and 7, Tredeau back to pass, looking to the end zone where it is almost intercepted by Johnny Rembert. The pass intended for the tight end Arbuckle. An outstanding play by Rembert, but might have had a good shot at this ball for the INT.
Well, with Johnny Rembert and Vincent Brown, you can put a lot of guys out there and you still got a pretty good defense. These two guys play inside side for that Patriot defense, and they're always around the football. There, Johnny said he didn't have one of the all-time great picks for him.
Well, Rembert didn't even play last week, the two-time Pro Bowl selection, sitting out the 34-0 loss to Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. 10th play of this drive, 3rd and 7. And Tredeau across the middle, complete to Bill Brooks, the veteran wide receiver at Boston University. Bill Brooks had a string of 74 straight games played, snapped last week, and it wasn't because of an injury.
Well, Bill Brooks has been one of those guys that really hasn't done an awful lot this season to earn the graces of Ted Marchibroda, the head coach.
Holding, number 75.
That'll bring
offense. 10-yard penalty.
Now that's left tackle Ron Mattis making his start for the normal left tackle. Excuse me, that would be Zephyrus Moss. Now, Mattis has only been with this Colt team a few weeks, and you know, in a critical situation like that, a lot of times a guy will get excited and create a hole for their team instead of doing something to help.
Well, you can see he has not been in an Indianapolis uniform for long. Costly penalty by Mattis, who played his first game for the Colts in the Colts win over the Bills last week. So 3rd and 17, all the way back at the 22. And Tredeau goes to Bill Brooks once again, and this time there'll be no penalty, but they'll be well short of the first down and the field goal unit for Indianapolis on 4th and 8.
Well, on both of those 3rd down attempts, Jack Tredeau saw man-to-man tight coverage. Now, a lot of times you'll see the quick slant. The first attempt was good for the first down. Once they backed him up with the holding call, way out of range. Now they got to go settle for the 3.
Dean Biasucci, who has been up and down all season, but he had the game-tying and game-winning field goal in overtime against the Buffalo Bills last week. This is about a 31-yard attempt, and this one is hooked to the left. No good. So the Colts come up empty-handed on a 31-yard field goal miss by the Colts, and we remain scoreless. You talk about a roller coaster year. Dean Biasucci with that 31-yard field goal miss was just a clear shank to the left. Now 7 of 18 from 30 to 49 yards out this season. Patriots 1st and 10 on their second series from the 20. Leonard Russell gets the call. And the second-year man out of Arizona State picks up about 4 yards. Well, Hugh Millen, surgery is probable at the end of this season, and a lot of folks may wonder why the New England Patriots out of the playoffs. Why risk Hugh Millen, the #1 quarterback, in there? But as you mentioned off the top of the show, the shoulder can't get any worse. That's why he's in there.
Well, and Hugh Millen's that kind of competitor. He says, hey, I can't get it hurt any worse. I'm going to try to do everything I can to help my teammates win these last 4 games. There you go.
2nd and 7. This is John Vaughn, number 24. Gets about 3 yards before he is driven out of bounds by number 39, Mike Pryor. John Vaughn. Outstanding couple of weeks. In fact, he's averaged almost 90 yards rushing the past 2 weeks.
25-yard line.
But Leonard Russell gets the start for John Vaughn. So I can see why John Vaughn might be a little upset that he's not starting for Leonard Russell, and the same goes for Scott Zolak and Hugh Millen.
Well, a lot of times when you have a team struggling like the Patriots, you just try to get stability first, and you go back to the guys that won the jobs in training camp and hope they can get it done until next year.
3 wideouts for the Patriots on 3rd and 5. Millen's pass incomplete, intended for the veteran Irving Fryer. Chris Good on the coverage, and I hear some boos here at Foxborough Stadium already.
Well, maybe not the best decision. There, Fryer running a ISO pattern on the corner. Hugh Millen sees the single coverage, tries to go deep instead of trying to pick up the first down. He's been out for 6 weeks. He's been throwing the ball, but maybe not making the right decision early on.
So the Patriots will punt it away. Sean McCarthy to Clarence Verdun, who can electrify a football stadium with his returns. Gets a good block across the 30 to the 40, all the way to the the 45-yard line. So an excellent return by Clarence Verdun.
Defensively, number
Opening
58.
moments of the first quarter, still scoreless from Foxborough. Earlier today, before the game, you'd have a tough time keeping Dick McPherson off the field. Still recovering from his diverticulitis surgery, a colon disorder. He had the surgery on November 13th. The first time he's been able to join the team on the field since the surgery. He's making a fantastic recovery, and he is in the stadium today, but made it clear to us when we had a chance to talk to him yesterday, Dan, that he will not be involved in any of the coaching decisions this week. He'll try to stay behind the glass there and not really come into our view of our cameras. This first pass by Jack Tredeau is almost picked off by number 27, David Poole. It was intended for Reggie Langhorne, the wide receiver.
Well, Reggie Langhorne has basically taken the starting job from Brooks. Here, it looks like he may have peaked just a little bit early. The ball floats on him. Poole should have had it. Either way, it's a lucky break for Jack Tredeau. Maybe the ball flew a little bit. It was a little bit behind Reggie.
Well, it was intended for Rodney Culver. Those numbers look a lot alike. It's number 35. The pass was intended for Culver, incomplete. And on 2nd and 10, Rodney Culver gets the carry, and he's just back at the line of scrimmage to bring up 3rd and long. Brent Williams and David Howard
Well, here in the early going, it looks like New England is basically going to challenge the Colt offense to throw the ball. They've got 8- and 9-man fronts an awful lot of the times. The Colts are going 2 tight ends. They're saying, fine, we'll put extra safety up there, see if you can block everybody. Making Jack try to get the ball downfield. Right now, he's just trying to spread it around to the backs.
3rd and 9. And Tredeau has Culver out of the backfield, and it looks like Culver picks up a 1st down. David Howard there on the coverage.
There again, Tredeau is one of those guys that is very, very patient. He looks down the field, not going to make a crucial mistake. He's going to go ahead and throw the ball to him. Here you'll see Culver coming out of the backfield. He will swing to the left. Tredeau going downfield. You'll see him looking straight downfield, looking to the left. Says, okay, I've just got to take what they give me. Culver able to beat Howard to the 1st down marker.
1st and 10 at the Patriot 43 for the Colts, who came up empty on a 31-yard field goal missed by Dean Biasucci. Driving here again, and this is Culver. He's been the featured back today in the absence of Anthony Johnson, whose return is questionable. Sprained ribs, the injury report on Anthony Johnson. So Rodney Culver, who has scored 8 touchdowns for the season, you can see 5 in his last 3 games, normally isn't the workhorse of the rushing attack. He's normally just found pay dirt this season.
Well, you said in the opening they found out some things last week. Well, maybe they'll find out something about Rodney Culver running the ball today. He can do it. He's low and powerful.
2nd and 7. And this is Culver again on the pitch. And he's inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line. For a gain of 1, Vincent Brown, the left inside linebacker, made the stop.
Now, the folks at home can see all the red shirts in the picture. When you go with a 2 tight end set, basically what you're doing is bringing all the action in close to the ball. Now, when you do that, you've got to have more powerful people than the defense puts up there. Right now, they're not knocking the Patriots off the line of scrimmage. That's why the running game is floundering.
Well, approaching the 3-minute mark of the first quarter, no score. Ball at the Patriot 39. 3rd and 6. Tredeau with a drop. And the pass is complete to number 88, Kerry Cash, the tight end. We'll return to Foxborough Stadium in a moment. First, let's go to our New York studios and Bob Costas.
Well, the Browns grab a 7-0 lead at home over the Bengals. Kevin Mack off left tackle for the 7-yard touchdown. And in the Battle of Ohio, the Browns, who have a shot at a wild card spot, lead 7-0 in the first quarter.
Well, here in Foxborough, scoreless game. Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots approaching the 2-minute warning of the first half. Colts with a 1st and 10 at the Patriot 31. Tredeau firing and once again complete, this time to the wide receiver Reggie Langhorne. And the former Brown comes up big. with another first down for the Colts.
14-yard line.
Well, Reggie Langhorne here running from the outside wide receiver position. He likes to run the slot, Dan. He's a big guy. He likes to get in there and bang around on safeties and corners. Here you see him coming across. Now, that takes a long time to develop. Well, Jack Tredeau was able to get that time because he kept both tight ends in blocking. Now, that's 7 linemen on 4 rushmen. You got a lot of time to wait for those patterns to open up when you keep those guys in.
First and 10. Tredeau, plenty of time, will simply throw this one away. It was intended for Jesse Hester in the left back corner of the end zone. And that'll bring up second down and 10 for the Colts. Maurice Hurst on the coverage.
Well, this is the first time Jack Tredeau has gotten his uniform smudged a little bit. Here, once again, the great Andre Tippett, he's done this for a lot of years, beats a running back 1-on-1, forces Tredeau to throw it high into the end zone.
Well, Tredeau had an outstanding week last week, picking up his 5th career 300-plus passing game. Matter of fact, it was the 2nd best passing day he's had in his career. On second and 10, he'll throw to the end zone once again. There were no Colt receivers there. We believe it was intended for the tight end Charles Arbuckle, number 81, but flags have been dropped on the play.
Well, New England countered. They said, hey, we're not going to let you sit back there all day. It looks like a procedural penalty. Basically, New England said, hey, Joe Collier, the great defensive coordinator, says, I'm not going to let you sit back there and pick me apart. I'm bringing some extra bodies.
Holding, number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Well, another big penalty, and this time it is Ron Solt who picks up another penalty for the Colts, number 66.
Well, they blitz the inside linebackers there, trying to get to the point that they're not going to let the Colts pick them apart. They're going to try to pressure Tredeau. If they got to bring 6, they'll bring 6. If not, they'll bring 7. At that time, 6 forced a mistake by Tredeau and a holding penalty.
Second and 20 for Indianapolis. Another costly penalty for the Colts.
Second and 20 from the 23.
Who have lost 7 of 8 games here at Foxborough Stadium. They have not had good luck here, nor have they had good luck against the Patriots. Tredeau swings this one to the right side to Rodney Culver, who fights his way inside the 20 to the 18-yard line.
Culver is brought down by David Howard.
David Howard and David Poole on the stop, but that'll bring up another critical third down for Indianapolis.
Well, thus far in the game, the Patriot corners, David Poole and Maurice Hurst, have done a great job of taking the wide receivers out of the ballgame. We've seen a couple of quick slants, and most of the other passes have gone to the tight ends and the running backs. Those corners are doing a great job of locking up man-on-man, taking them completely out of the offense.
Third and 15. Bill Brooks and Jesse Hester, the wide receivers, but they'll keep it on the ground to Culver, who slides into the Patriot 13-yard line. He'll be well short of the first down. And here, once again, is Dean Biasucci, who just a few moments ago missed a 31-yard field goal attempt.
Well, it's obvious that Ted Marchibroda does have confidence in Biasucci because on that 3rd and long is a give-up play setting up for the field goal. It was just a pitch, didn't try to get it into the end zone, basically said, we'll take our 3 and go on.
Inside 10 seconds to go in the first quarter, Biasucci, a 31-yard field goal attempt. He missed from this distance just a moment ago. This time does not get very good leg into it, but does get it over the crossbar. So Biasucci wasn't impressive, but he's 1 for 2 this afternoon, and that gives the Indianapolis Colts, after the end of the first quarter, a 3-0 lead over New England.
All the Patriots offense for further detail.
Well, the Colts field goal kicker, Dean Biasucci, has attempted 2 31-yard field goals. He has made one of them. In defense of his miss, the flag was blowing into his face on both misses, but he really didn't hit either one of them very well. And as you can see, Indianapolis is just rolling up yardage and has a big advantage in the time of possession as well early. Walter Stanley and John Vaughn back deep to receive Biasucci's kick. And this is Walter Stanley across the 25. Still on his feet, reversing his field back to the 20, across the 25 again, and that may be the longest short return of his career.
I swear, if you fish, this guy looks like a topwater bait. He just jumps and moves everywhere.
We're scoreless from Foxborough. We'll return in a moment.
the aerobic light catch.
The Indianapolis Colts have steamed ahead to a 3-0 early lead over the New England Patriots as we head to the second quarter. Rodney Culver's hood is on fire. -5 wind chill degree factor out there.
That shows you the dangers of smoking.
Look at how the Indianapolis Colts have dominated the Patriots in total yards, 123-10. The Patriots haven't really done anything on their first 2 possessions, and as they start their third possession, Irving Fryer makes the catch for New England. Eugene Daniel on the coverage.
Well, I think the difference thus far is the fact that neither team has been able to run the ball, but Jack Tredeau has been able to move the chains by getting the ball to the running backs. Basically let them get the 4 and 6 and 8 yard catches for runs in place of that running game, and I think that's what New England has to do to get the chains moving, is those quick little passes and get those defenders off the line of scrimmage.
Gain of 6 on the Irving Fryer reception, and this is John Vaughn, who regains his footing at the 32-yard line and tries to fight for extra yardage, but he won't get far at all. Daniel and Mike Fryer, the free safety, had come up.
Even though this field has been covered for a couple of days, we had sleet, rain, snow, an awful lot of bad things going on. This field has been covered, but with these temperatures, it's going to be slick, and you'll see a lot of those running tries up inside. I don't think those running backs can get out on the corners and make those cuts. I think a lot of it's going to be straight ahead, power G's, trying to get the ball across the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 3 for Hugh Millen. Millen with some time, and it is complete again to the veteran Irving Fryer. And that'll be a first down for New England. Eugene Daniel on the coverage of Fryer, who made his 100th start last week in that lopsided loss to Atlanta.
Well, Irving Fryer is the go-to guy in this New England offense. He's one of the true outstanding receivers in the game. Here, the corner is basically run off. He gets about 6 yards, clubs him, gets back underneath. Good throw by Millen. Millen's got that throwing motion working well, made 3 good catches, 3 good balls to his receivers now.
Ball at the 41, 1st and 10. Millen looks to his left, and once again he has Fryer, who makes a nifty catch at the Indianapolis 48-yard line. A good gain for the Patriots. Eugene Daniel on the coverage.
Now, Dan, when we talked to Hugh Millen yesterday, we said, you've been out 6 weeks. You've thrown the ball away. He says, yes, I have. I've been throwing the ball well for 3 weeks, but this is the first time since the opener against the Rams that I can throw without pain. Now, that left shoulder is a grade 3 separation. It's got the clavicle bone sticking up off of it, but he says, I can still whip that left arm around and fire with my right one. We've seen him throw 5 times. All 5 have been very impressive tosses.
Millen getting the start for Scott Zolak, who had been the sentimental favorite. But Hugh Millen says, my shoulder can't get any worse, so I want to play. I want to set the foundation for next year. There was Zolak, who was 2-1 as his 3-game starting stint for New England. John Vaughn. And he'll be caught behind the line of scrimmage for a big loss. Sam Clancy, the left end, had a hold of him.
Loss on the play.
Well, New England hasn't been able to get that running game going, and basically what they're trying to do is stretch that cavity there. They're trying to create a hole out there around the offensive right tackle. Well, they can't get the inside guys cut off. Siragusa, all the nose tackles, the linebackers are flowing out there, not giving them a running lane to get those big backs up in there.
2nd down and 15 now for the Patriots. Ball at their own 47. And this is Vaughn. And he'll get virtually nowhere as he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage by a host of Colts. So the Patriot running game sputtering early.
Well, I just see the Patriot offensive lineman coming off into the Colt defensive lineman, and they're not getting any movement. Now, it's a lot easier to have the receiver run a little 8-12-yard pattern and watch the cornerback try to keep his balance on this slick field than try to move those 300-pounders off the line of scrimmage. I don't think the running game will go until you get those guys back off, worried about the pass.
3rd and 14. Patriots come out with 3 wideout set. Millen going downfield, and it is incomplete. It was intended for Michael Timpson, and Chris Good made a nice play defensively for Indianapolis, and once again, the Patriots will have to punt it away.
With 37, Chris Good makes a great break on the ball here. He comes back inside tighter than the receiver. I don't know how good a cornerback can cover if that's not an A+. I don't know what is. That guy made a big-time move back to the ball.
Good very close to another interception. Clarence Verdun back deep to await the punt from Sean McCarthy. Low wobbling punt and taken by Verdun at the 12, fumbles the football, and the Patriots have recovered. But hold everything, a flag on the field at the 42.
It looks like that would be holding against the Colts anyway. You said a minute ago, Dan, this guy electrifies a crowd, both home and opposing, when he catches the ball. Extremely talented, sometimes radical.
Well, Dion Lambert recovered the fumble for New England. There is the rookie fourth-round pick out of UCLA. So if the call is indeed against the Colts, it will stand. But the official's still in a powwow at the 25-yard line. There's Jerry Markbright with a white hat. He's the referee. Looking for his...
On the kicking. Two fouls on the kicking team. Number 58, a 5-yard face mask foul after the ball was kicked. That penalty will be accepted. We had number 95, illegal man downfield offense. That's declined. We have 5 yards. Fourth down again.
We had heard Jerry Markbright. For the bottom line for Dante Scarnecchia and the Patriots is the fumble does not stand.
Well, here you see Verdun carrying it out there, the old proverbial loaf of bread. Sure enough, he hits it against his own knee, creating the fumble.
The face mask foul on number 58 is an illegal hands to the face by the kicking team. It's a 10-yard penalty. Fourth down.
That was Rob McGovern, who Jerry Markbright pointed out, number 58 for New England, with the illegal hands to the face penalty.
Now, a lot of times, those guys that have to cover, as in Rob McGovern's program on this kick, he's trying to get out of there as fast as he can. A lot of times, you'll grab the opposing team guy's face mask, try to pull yourself by him. A lot of times, it never gets called. That one, Markbright and his crew was right on top of him.
Well, Clarence Verdun, that'll give him another chance. He's already returned 2 punts for touchdowns this year, including an 84-yarder versus Miami. A little better punt this time by McCarthy as Verdun waits for it to roll out of bounds, marked at the 25, where the Colts will have 1st and 10. They lead at 3-0, 10:39 mark of the second quarter. Colts on top 3-0. 10:39 left in the second quarter, but coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. And it is a huge matchup as the San Francisco 49ers 10-2 on the season. They've already clinched a playoff spot. Miami Dolphins at 8-4, trying to find out what has been causing their problems on offense. Miami and Dan Marino haven't been able to fire on all cylinders as of late, but that's a big matchup at Candlestick following this one. Rodney Culver gets the call for Indianapolis. A host of Patriots on the defensive front made the stop. Tim Edwards, Fred Smerlas, Chris Gannon in there.
Well, Joe Collier believes in keeping their troops fresh. He's brought in an entirely different defensive front, trying to keep everybody active. You know, Fred Smerlas is a guy that's been around 14 years. He's been around longer than I have, and I haven't even been around. I've been up there in the booth for a couple of years.
2nd and 5, Tredeau will throw. Tipped and intercepted by number 37, Maurice Hurst, who is inside the 20 and may go. Had a chance at going all the way, but was pushed out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Kerry Cash made the stop, but a tip pass into the hands of Maurice Hurst and a 27-yard interception return for New England, and they are back in business.
Well, a lot of times when a team gets in cold weather for the first time, you'll see a lot of tip balls there. It's just a great play by the linebacker, Rimpert. He was able to get up, stretch, tip the ball away from the receiver. Maurice Hurst makes a good return here. I'm not quite sure he wasn't touched down by contact, but either way, the Patriots are inside the 15 with a good chance to score.
And the Colts look like a totally different team after their big overtime win over Buffalo last week. The 32nd turnover of the season for Indianapolis. And Leonard Russell is stopped for a loss of about 5 in the backfield. Jeff Harrod, Chip Banks there to make the stop.
Well, the Patriots don't really have that complex of an audible system. A lot of times, they get to the line of scrimmage, and the defense is in good position. They will not change the play. They'll just run it. That time, they ran straight into Dwayne Bickett standing there unblocked.
4 yards rushing so far this game.
Well, they say practice makes perfect. They're going to have to practice more at home before they bring it out here.
They'll call it a loss of a long 3. 2nd and 13. Millen has time, but he'll go down. And Dwayne Bickett, number 50, the right outside linebacker for the Colts, sacked Hugh Millen for the 31st time this season, the 85th time in his career.
Well, there we see 50, number 50, Bickett there. Just run back inside Pat Harlow. Millen had moved up in the pocket. Harlow is expecting Bickett to go upfield. Bickett just sees the quarterback inside, falls in there for an easy sack.
And we've mentioned Hugh Millen getting beat around 31 times this season, and he has been inactive since week 8. So only Randall Cunningham and Dave Craig have been sacked more times, but they have been starting quarterbacks for most of the season. So that gives you an idea of how porous the offensive line for New England has been. New England with a 3rd down and 17 situation, and that's where they'll pick it up when we come back. At Foxborough Stadium, Reggie Redding, the left guard for New England, had to leave the game with an injury. Calvin Stevens has taken his place. He has a hyperextended back, and on 3rd and 17, this is Millen going to the air, left side, into the end zone, out of the hands of Irving Fryer. Eugene Daniel was there every step of the way, but Fryer might have had a chance for a touchdown catch there.
Well, it looks like Indianapolis is daring Millen to go to single coverage whenever he sees it. There again, Irving Fryer in single man-on-man coverage. Millen spots it, says, my guy's better than yours. I'm going to let him go for the ball. There, Fryer just unable to bring it back in after coming back for the ball.
This is usually the type of catch that Fryer comes up with, but it probably was knocked a little bit there.
Not only that, but, you know, in -5 degrees, wind chill, a lot of receivers aren't so great.
So Charlie Bauman has come in to attempt a field goal. It would be about a 38-yard attempt. Bauman 8 of 12 in field goal attempts on the year.
The ball has been placed in the middle of the field where it was at the start of the last play.
See, the field is so slick, the ball slid all the way to the hash mark here, Dan. Unbelievable.
The holder for Bauman is the punter, Sean McCarthy. It's got enough leg. Or does it?
Oh, good.
Short by Bauman. 38-yard attempt is short. And New England still scoreless with 8:21 left in the first half. Indianapolis up 3-0.
We have the Colts on offense first down.
Dan Hicks and Dan Hampton back at Foxborough Stadium. Indianapolis with a 3-0 lead. Both field goal kickers having their problems today. Biasucci is 1 of 2 from 31 yards out. Bauman just missed from 38 yards. So the Colts on 1st and 10 go to Rodney Culver on the ground, and he's stopped for no gain by Tim Edwards, the left end.
Culver was block error.
Well, Bauman wasn't able to really get his plant foot on it. Here you'll see he wants to put it about right here. As we go through it, you'll see his foot slide. There he just says, hey, I just got to make contact, otherwise I'll miss it. Unable to get a full, powerful, swift kick through. That's why the ball never was able to drive under the wind for the field goal.
So 2nd down and 10 for New England, or rather Indianapolis. And this is Culver again, once again substituting for the injured Anthony Johnson. The feature back for Indianapolis out with a sprained rib, and the rookie out of Notre Dame picks up some yardage, brought down by Chris Gannon, and Randy Robbins came up from his free safety position.
Down 2.
The Colts at 5-7 on the season need to win their last 4 games to have any shot of postseason hopes, and they'll even need some help if they are able to pull off 4 straight wins. Tredeau almost stumbles, gets it across the 30-yard line where Andre Tippett makes the stop.
Well, there again, Jack Tredeau, one of those guys that has really matured over the last 4 or 5 years, not willing to put his team in a hole, says, I'll just pull it down and make it to the first down marker. They're able to get out after the rush, collapse the pocket, going to his left, making the first.
And Jack Tredeau with the first down. He told us yesterday, Dan, that there were some Colts in the huddle, and there were some Indianapolis Colts members that still didn't believe that they could beat Buffalo last week.
Well, a lot of times talk's cheap. You got to prove it.
Kerry Cash and Arbuckle, the double tight end formation for Indianapolis. This is Culver again.
Rodney Culver
Short
carries.
gain across the 35.
You know, normally in a play like that where the offensive line basically has a drive block, they just come off with their helmets, try to get into a defender and mash him. That looked like sumo wrestling, Dan. I mean, I was watching those linemen that come off, they kind of get in a bear hug, wall it around, and then they all fall in a pile. They are unable to get that traction needed to move people off the line of scrimmage.
There is Jeff George. He is the franchise quarterback. A broken hand versus this same Patriot team 3 weeks ago. He's at least 2 weeks away. In the meantime, Tredeau keeps firing. Complete to Jesse Hester. 13-yard gain by the former Raider, Jesse Hester.
Well, it's interesting. Jesse Hester, a former Raider. On the other side, Reggie Langhorne, a former Cleveland Brown, are the new starting receivers for this Colts offense. And both of those guys are big, strong guys that like to run that quick slant. Now, that is one of the daringest patterns a receiver can run, and both of these guys thrive on it.
Well, Jesse Hester has just matched the record of 43 straight games with at least a completion to tie Lenny Moore, and Rodney Culver, though, gets caught behind the line of scrimmage here.
Defensively for the Patriots.
Vincent Brown, the leading tackler for New England, the 5th-year man out of Mississippi Valley State, made the stop.
46-yard line.
Well, you'll see Brown right here able to run through. You'll see New England trying to get down the line of scrimmage. The guard unable to get his helmet on him. There, once again, a guy that's 240 pounds can outrun a 300-pounder. It's hard to get that block on the linebacker as fast as Vincent Brown.
Vincent Brown said he not only was he embarrassed by the loss last week, the entire team was and should be. This pass incomplete from Tredeau, intended for Kerry Cash. Tim Gordon on the coverage. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 12 for Jack Tredeau.
You know, and going back to that story about how Jack Tredeau related the fact that a lot of the guys on the Colts really felt like they didn't have a chance to beat the Bills, and then the longer they were in the game, he could see more and more confidence coming from those players. Like, hey, these guys aren't that great. We can beat them. Well, I think you've got to do it time and time again to develop a confidence of a championship-type football team.
3rd and 12. Tredeau gets the pass off to Rodney Culver. Has some good running room across midfield. He'll get the first down and more all the way down to the Patriot 40-yard line. So Rodney Culver becoming a focal point of this game with Anthony Johnson out injured. Picks up a gain of 14 yards right there.
Colts are in Patriots territory.
Well, again, Anthony Johnson has been the guy that has been utilized in an offensive structure like this. Here, just a screen right. You'll see the center, Donaldson, getting out there, getting a good block to spring Culver back to the inside. That is Anthony Johnson's bread and butter. The last time he was playing against the New England defense, he set a club record for 240 yards from the line of scrimmage. Now, Rodney Culver's got a chance to do the same thing today in this offense.
1st and 10, Culver on the carry. You know, Rodney Culver only came into this game with 148 yards all season long, just 71 carries.
He's been the masher down on the goal line, scoring 8 TDs. Today he's going to get a chance to stretch his hamstrings out a little bit on this track.
The Indianapolis Colts rushing woes, last in the NFL, ranking 28. Just a 2.9 yard a carry for Ted Marchibroda's team.
Well, I don't think you can build an offense on a team that cannot rush the ball better than 3.5.
Culver on the 2nd and 9 carry. Gets nowhere. Chris Gannon, number 91 there to stop him. The fourth-year man out of Southwest Louisiana.
You know, an interesting sidelight to today's game is, you know, Ted Marchibroda has been around so long, you're seeing the Colt offense going on the first snap count time and time again before the New England guys can basically dig in. You know, those guys on defense like to kick and scratch into that frozen turf, get their cleats set to react, but that offense gets up there. As soon as he gets there, boom, it's gone.
Critical 3rd and 10. Tredeau will get sacked by number 72, Tim Goad. Second sack of the season for Goad, the 5th-year man out of North Carolina.
Well, it looks like Tim Goad was able to turn a corner on a stunt. There again, it may have backfired on them. New England was ready to go when Tredeau got to the line of scrimmage. They've got a real good jump on the ball, and it looks like the offensive linemen were unable to react on a stunt. Tim Goad, the old tobacco picker himself, coming around for a big trap.
Goad from Cloudville, Virginia, now population 149 because the population was 150 before he left. The Colts will punt it when we return to Foxborough at the 2-minute warning in just a moment. The NFL's best to punt it away for Indianapolis, Ron Stark. Walter Stanley awaiting at his 12-yard line for New England. The Colts with a 3-0 lead at the 2-minute warning of the first half. Stanley will take it from the 16-yard line. 2-yard return for Stanley, who gets it up to the 18-yard line. Just a 34-yard punt for Ron Stark. And we'll come back to New England right after this. Even the best can have their off days. The Colts up 3-0 over New England. Ron Stark has an average of 46.4 yards on average. This one, just 34 yards, simply lost his footing.
No, that won't make the bloopers, will it? No, Ron, we promise it won't.
Ron Stark, 3 punting titles, 1 more, and he'll tie the NFL record, but even the best can have their off days. 1st and 10 for New England from the 11-yard line. Vaughn strung out to the right side for the Colt defense.
Dan, even though that wasn't one of his best punts of his career, still did a good job setting the ball down inside the 20 or about the 11. So this guy here, he's been one of the big weapons for the Colts offense this year. Anytime they falter, he can get them out of a hole.
Irving Fryer, Greg McMurtry, Michael Timpson in the wide receiver set for New England. 2nd and 4. Millen's pass deflected and almost intercepted. Should have been, but a couple of Colts collided. The pass was intended for Irving Fryer, and Eugene Daniel and Tony Stargell collided.
Well, it looks like Hugh Millen put a lot of smoke on this one here. Went right through Irving's hands, hits his shoulder pads, gets straight up in the air. Irving battling for the ball, unable to get his hand back in to catch it. Jump ball.
Actually, that was Baylor and Stargell colliding. Baylor number 36, Stargell number 45. The ball up for grabs. And Stargell and Baylor play a little tip drill there. And weren't able to come up with the interception. So Hugh Millen on 3rd and 4, passing once again downfield. Incomplete, intended for McMurtry. Fryer on the coverage, and the fans are restless in Foxborough, and you have to wonder if it's partly because the New England offense has not been doing much, and Scott Zolak awaits on the sidelines very healthy.
Well, I do think that Scott Zolak has something to do with the way Hugh Millen is reading defenses. He tried to go for something deep, throwing into double coverage. That's not Hugh Millen's game. It was 3rd and 4. He should have just dinked it and got the first down. Hugh's trying to make too big a play all the time.
There was Scott Zolak, who was rattled last week in the 34-0 loss to Atlanta. The Falcons came out with every blitz in the book. A flag on this play as Sean McCarthy gets the punt away. 34-yard punt.
You know, it's funny. Hugh Millen has not thrown the ball poorly. He just hasn't thrown it to the right guy. His reads are a little bit off. You know, and a lot of times you say, well, the quarterback, he should know those reads. Well, unless you're out there taking snaps in practice, it's hard to get those reads down.
Ineligible man downfield on the kick. Number 33, kicking team. Penalty is declined. First down.
Well, the Patriots decline. But Scott Zolak, who has produced the only 2 wins for New England this year, found out that he was not the starting quarterback on his way to practice, found out about it on the radio, and that has a lot to do with the communication problems with Dante Scarnecchia, the team's staff spokesman, who did not find out about the decision in the meeting by Dick McPherson and Hugh Millen and the doctor. That was where the communication gap broke down. So Scott Zolak was very angry when he found out that he was not the starting quarterback and Hugh Millen had supplanted him. The Colts on 1st and 10. Tredeau swings it out left side to Rodney Culver. Culver pushed out of bounds by Maurice Hurst.
Well, about Scott Zolak, I think he's going to be a fine quarterback, but it takes time to learn all the intricacies of the defensive coverages and blitz schemes. Last week, Atlanta blitzed him. I mean, it was a blitzkrieg. Zolak was very, very erratic, throwing into double and triple coverage for a couple of interceptions. And as an offensive coach, you've got to take your chances with a guy that won't do that. Thus far, Hugh Millen is trying to go too deep and just threw into double himself.
2nd and 5 for the Colts now, and this is complete to Kerry Cash. The tight end has the first down. And with 1:14 left, the Colts are driving again.
First down.
David Howard, number 99, made the stop.
Patriots 31.
So Jack Tredeau looking very confident. In the same manner he was able to pull off the upset over the Bills last week. In fact, some of the Colts will tell you that Tredeau, in fact, has been more consistent this year than Jeff George.
Well, again, the same old thing. If the quarterback gets greedy, he'll hurt his team a lot more than help him.
Tredeau's pass incomplete. Intended for Langhorne. Rod Smith there on the coverage.
Reggie Langhorne was the intended receiver.
Jack Tredeau, 15 and 26 as a career starter, and that record includes an 0-11 record his rookie year for Indianapolis. And he's 13 of 19 with a 1 interception for 133 yards so far today. And now he has 2nd and 10. 1:11 to go in the first half. Indianapolis with a 3-0 lead on New England. Downfield has Langhorne, the wide receiver, who did not make the catch, or matter of fact made the catch, but it looks like the official ruled him out of bounds and Langhorne is upset.
I don't know if, I don't believe it was the out of bounds. I think it was basically they're calling this ball out of the grasp right there when it hits the ground.
Exactly.
And, you know, Reggie Langhorne's a big physical receiver that has no problem going after the ball, even on a hard field like that, just laying it out. They're possibly a good call. It's hard to say from our vantage point. You be the judge, Dan, but it looks like he was bobbling against his face mask right there when he plowed into the ground.
The question being, did Langhorne have control? And apparently he did not by the official's viewpoint. So Tredeau goes up top, nowhere in the vicinity of Jesse Hester. Maurice Hurst on the coverage downfield. And that'll bring up 4th down with less than a minute to play in the first half. And the Colts will send out Dean Biasucci.
A couple of interesting calls. Tredeau able to move the offense up and down the field, but once he tries to stretch that defense, get the ball down the field, They seem to be running off the track a little bit.
This will be a 48-yard field goal attempt for Biasucci. This time the wind with him. And this one slips over the crossbar and is good. That one would not have been good from 49 yards, but Biasucci just inches it over the crossbar.
You know, if I was Biasucci, I would just walk off the field like, no problem. That was no big deal.
Actually, it didn't hit the crossbar. It hit the bar that comes up into the crossbar.
The standard up over the end of the end zone.
So Biasucci 2 for 3 this afternoon, and that has been all the scoring as the Colts are up 6-0.
No problem.
And if you can listen very closely, Dan Hampton, the fans here at Foxborough are beginning to chant Zolak, Zolak.
The Zolak attack is what these fans want because he led them to victory against the Indy Colts here 3 weeks ago, and they say, hey, come back in, try it again.
Well, getting back to the Zolak story, the clarification, Dick McPherson, along with Hugh Millen on Tuesday, and the doctor, they were there at a meeting which officially, medically cleared Hugh Millen to play. Hugh Millen then spoke to some reporters and said, I have been cleared to play. The media put 1 and 2 together and practically determined that Millen would be the starting quarterback. However, Dante Scarnecchia had not been advised of the meeting or the decision, and either had the chief executive officer of the New England Patriots, Sam Jankovich, who found out when he picked up the morning newspaper Wednesday.
Well, the policy on most every NFL team is the starter cannot lose his job due to injury. When Hugh Millen said, I'm healthy, I'm going, 1 and 1 makes trouble.
Scott Zolak, a first-year quarterback out of Maryland, captured some real excitement here in New England as he helped the Patriots to their first win of the season over this Colt team.
Well, the way I hear it, he was as big as any Kennedy has been in Boston. I mean, and now that's huge. Folks downtown loved him, and the ball falls off the tee here, Dan. And you don't think that win has something to play on those kickers' minds. You can see that. It's a quick way to get a quick 5 yards out of the defense.
Biasucci feeling a little bit better about himself after inching that 48-yard field goal over. You can see that the winds have turned for the most part, bright sunshiny day into a bone-chilling day. And Biasucci will get the hold this time. Walter Stanley and John Vaughn await. And this will be brought back by Stanley at the 5. And he will not get it to the 20 as flags are dropped at the end of the play. Jason Belzer was down there on the coverage. But every kickoff return was an adventure for Walter Stanley last week. He had trouble getting it back to the 20-yard line.
Well, both of these teams have very, very capable guys returning the kicks.
Holding number 91, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
The only problem being a lot of the excitement they create is transferred into consternation for the coach.
Chris Gannon was called for the hold, and I don't think there was much of a doubt.
Hey, Randy Macho Man Savage couldn't have done a better takedown. That's beautiful.
Coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Dan Hampton taking a break from the New York studios this week, and in his place, my other partner this season, Joe Namath, along with O.J. Simpson and Bob Costas. They'll have all the scores and highlights from another Sunday in the NFL. Leonard Russell just ambling his way up the right sideline as the clock is down to 41 seconds to go in the first half.
Well, John Stevens did a good job getting out there and locking up the safety for Leonard Russell to turn a corner, but hey, with this much time left in the game, that's not going to get you anywhere except a couple of boos going into the locker room.
And Dante Scarnecchia and the Patriots have 3 timeouts to deal with as well.
Well, see, this is the thing. Dick Curry is the offensive coordinator, and Dante, he's in between what McPherson would be making calls in critical situations like this.
Well, here's Millen. And Obviously some good coverage by the Indianapolis defensive secondary. Millen wasn't even able to get it off, so the clock stops at 34 seconds. Hugh Millen had the separated shoulder in the first quarter of the first game this year, and he's been struggling with it throughout the season.
But the thing is, I think he's struggling more in his mind than his shoulder right now, Dan. He's been able to throw the ball crisply when he knows where to go. He hasn't made the right decision at all the times.
2nd and 9. Millen has plenty of time, and he swings it out to the left side to McMurtry, the wide receiver. Third-year man out of Michigan makes his first catch of the afternoon.
By Eugene Daniel.
Now, at this point, in moving the ball down the field, they've gotten the ball out somewhere around the 35. A quarterback can go ahead and start throwing those takeoffs. That's where the receiver just runs straight down the field. Even if it's an interception, they still have a good chance of stopping them from an opposing team scoring.
3rd down and 3 as the clock was stopped at 28. Millen complete to the tight end Mark Cook, who makes his first reception today. And New England quickly calls a timeout with the Colts up on top of the New England Patriots 6-0. Now, the last play of the first half, Hugh Millen, of course, suffering from that badly separated left shoulder, went down on it again, and we'll have to await what his status will be as we come back to the second half. But even though it's not his throwing arm, Dan Hampton, it still comes into play when he makes his throwing motion.
Well, the reason being is in Hugh Millen's throwing motion, when he gets the ball up and gets ready, he separates from the ball and throws that left shoulder through, whipping the ball downfield. If he's unable to get that arm up, he's thrown out of a hole. Even I can't do that.
Spoken like a true defensive lineman who moonlighted as a quarterback at Arkansas.
Well, the key to this is if Hugh cannot get that hand up and whip that ball, you'll see Scott Zolak and in a hurry.
Well, the fans here in Foxborough were chanting Zolak, Zolak as Hugh Millen was holding his shoulder as he went to the locker room, and you can see number 16 warming up. Keystone Light halftime stats. Possession time and total yardage, a big advantage for the Indianapolis Colts, but they haven't been able to push it into the end zone and lead it 6-0 on a couple of Dean Biasucci field goals.
Well, a lot of times when you see a team dominate the clock like that, you think they have a big rushing total or a big advantage. That was created by Tredeau getting the ball to the backs, moving the chains.
Charlie Bauman to kick off for the Patriots. And this is Clarence Verdun trying to get to the 20-yard line. And that's about as far as he'll get. So the Colts will begin their series 1st and 10 from the 20. Jack Tredeau comes out once again for Indianapolis. Tredeau in a cold offense was able to move the football, but only the 2 field goals to show for it. As you see the first half numbers by Tredeau, who is making his 5th start of the season for the injured Jeff George. And the Colts come out with a double tight end formation. Rodney Culver gets the carry, and we'll mention once again, if you're just tuning into the second half of this game, Anthony Johnson, the Colts featured running back, had to leave the game with sprained ribs. His return is questionable, and even more questionable because Rodney Culver has come out in the second half once again as the featured running back for Indianapolis. So the Colts rushing game has been anemic all season, the worst in the NFL, and they've lost their number 1 back, but Culver has done a respectable job in place of Anthony Johnson. 2nd down and 7. And it's once again Culver searching for running room around the left side. Short of the first down, it'll bring up 3rd down. Randy Robbins, the veteran free safety for New England, made the stop.
You know, if this Indianapolis Colts offense is to go ahead and develop, they're going to have to find a guy that can really get out on the flanks and turn the ball up. Rodney Culver is a very strong running back, a guy that can hit up inside there. Anthony Johnson's forte is catching the ball out of the backfield. They need to come up with a guy that they can be confident getting the ball outside of defense's flanks.
3rd and 5. Tredeau has time, fires incomplete, intended for number 85, Reggie Langhorne. So the Colts punting unit will come out, and we will see if Scott Zolak comes out at quarterback for New England.
There, Reggie Langhorne told us yesterday, hey, I'm real comfortable being in the slot. That's starting second in from the outside as a receiver. There, he just didn't have the concentration to hold on.
Walter Stanley back deep, standing at his own 31-yard line to receive the punt from Ron Stark. High hanging punt, not particularly long, taken by Stanley at the 38. And we just have a report from the Patriots sideline. Hugh Millen re-injured his shoulder, and Scott Zolak will come out to start the second half for the Patriots.
Well, I think this crowd is excited about that chance to see the Zolak attack once again. Here's a guy that really had a hard day at the office last week. They only had 15 yards of total passing offense at the end of the game against Atlanta. But the two previous games, they made a lot of things happen.
And listen to the fans in Foxborough. You would think that this team was leading this game. They're down 6-0. Their offense unable to do anything in the first half. And all of a sudden, some electricity in the air as Zolak takes his first snaps of this game. And he'll give it to Leonard Russell, who will go nowhere, stacked up by most of the Colts up front. So Scott Zolak, who learned a couple of lessons from the Atlanta Falcons last week in their blitzing defense in the 34-0 loss to Atlanta, comes out again with a 2-1 record as a starter. We mentioned it. He's got the only 2 wins as the quarterback of the Patriots this season.
Well, Atlanta did an awful lot of different things to him. They started blitzing, then later in the game, they went with a 4-man rush, dropped 7 guys into a lot of zone coverages. Zolak, seeing a lot of twisting by the linemen, mistook it for blitzes, threw a lot of stupid balls. He says, I'm a lot better than that now.
Well, they gave the Patriots 2 yards on that play, and Zolak, a little more mobile than Millen, sprints out to the right side, but was unable to get the pass off to Greg McMurtry. And it falls incomplete.
It'll be interesting to see what the Indianapolis Colts do to Scott Zolak. They've seen that some confusing defensive patterns by the rushman, dropping guys into zone, trying to create some indecision on his part, has led to turnovers.
Well, there's Hugh Millen on the sideline. Scott Zolak, the first quarterback in Patriots history to win his first 2 starts. He's in place of the injured Hugh Millen. 3rd and 8. And Zolak will work out of the shotgun. Going downfield. And the pass was caught by Irving Fryer, and it's a first down for New England. Gain of 10 for Fryer.
Well, that showed you right there that this guy's got something on the ball. The linebacker blitzed from that side of the field, so he throws the ball out there where the linebacker normally would be. Linebacker comes, there's going to be a hole there somehow. Just let a guy hook up underneath it. Good read, good curl there by Irving Fryer.
And an excellent catch for the 9th-year man out of Nebraska. 1st and 10, ball at midfield. Scott Zolak coming into the first opening series of the second half. Trying to jumpstart this lethargic Patriot offense. And to give us to Leonard Russell, and he is met by Dwayne Bickett. And Dwayne Bickett really told us that the inconsistencies of Indianapolis this year have had a lot to do with injuries, and they've had a lot to do with a new system being implemented in Indianapolis. His 4th head coach, Ted Marchibroda, for Dwayne Bickett in his 8 years in Indianapolis.
Well, anytime you have that kind of turnover, you don't have stability, and stability creates a winning program. He feels like Ted Marchibroda is the guy to give him that stability.
2nd and 9 for Zolak. And Zolak has some running room. Will he get the first down? No, he'll be short. And as a flag is dropped,
late hit.
And that could be an unsportsmanlike conduct against Indianapolis.
Anytime a quarterback gives himself up, he goes down, whether it's a slide head first or seat first, you've got to stay off of him.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 98.
Tony Saragusa, the nose tackle, trailing on the play. You know, here's a guy, he's 290 pounds. He says, hey, I ran 20 yards. I'm going to get something out of it. there, putting his helmet down, trying to maybe spear Zolak. That's a good call.
So the 6-yard gain by Zolak was short of the first down, but the unsportsmanlike call against Tony Siragusa has given the Patriots a 1st and 10 from the Colt 27.
Well, Tony should know. I mean, any other player, receiver, running back, you can do that. Not a quarterback. They protect him.
Zolak has himself 2 tight ends on this 1st and 10 call. Play action. In and out of the hands of Marv Cook. Mike Pryor, the free safety, was step for step with Marv Cook.
On that play, a lot of fans may say, well, he threw the ball too hard. That's an easy little toss. Well, what happened was the linebacker was closing so quickly, he didn't have a choice. He wanted to make sure he got it to Marv Cook in time to give him a chance to get upfield. There was a good play by the Indianapolis defense getting the safety Pryor over there on Cook early.
It'll be 2nd down and 10. McMurtry at the bottom of your screen, Fryer at the top. And this is Leonard Russell. Finds himself some room. Gets it down to the 22-yard line for about a gain of 5. Jeff Harrod, the right inside linebacker for the Colts, brought Russell down.
Well, on that last play, the left guard, Reggie Redding, had a great long trap block. He came from the left guard position, kicked out on a guy, created a good seam for Russell to hit up in there and get some good yards.
That'll bring up 3rd down and 5. Boy, the Indianapolis Colts, we hate to keep bringing it up, but it's been a storyline throughout the year. Steve Entman has been hurt. He is out for the season. Had successful anterior cruciate ligament surgery on his knee this past week. And Quentin Coriat, the number 2 pick, out of the Colts defense as well. On 3rd and 5, Zolak looping it up to the end zone for Fryer. Incomplete. And a nice defensive play made by Chris Goode. And penalty markers again down.
Well, you know, talking about those Colt defenders being out, those are 2 impact players on any defense in the league. When you lose those guys, it hurts.
We have an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, a chop block on the offense. Number 70 and 71, 15-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Reggie Redding, number 70, and Greg Riccozzi, who has come in at the center position for New England, called for the penalty.
Well, it looks like the left guard and the center were getting some paybacks here. We saw, here's 70 right here, and here's Riccozzi, the center. Now, we'll watch those guys work against Tony Siragusa here, back coming across. Siragusa gets a good split there. They realize last chance, get him down. Both of them cut at the same time, which is illegal. Well, I know an awful lot about how that feels like, Dan. I've seen it too many times. I'm glad to see him calling it once in a blue moon.
That pushes the Patriots back to the 37, 3rd and 20. Zolak has a lot of time, and Fires had an open receiver. Michael Timpson was wide open, but Zolak was off the mark.
Well, we've seen a lot of man-to-man coverage on that last play. They went to a soft zone. Zolak, thinking man-to-man, tried to fire it in there, when in fact it was just a soft zone. A nice, easy catch would give them the 1st down.
Well, Zolak and the Patriots unable to keep this drive alive, so Sean McCarthy steps back into punt formation. And number 39, Mike Pryor, is back deep at the 10-yard line for the Colts.
For what it's worth, this kid didn't get a score, but he got the crowd off their seats.
McCarthy trying to pin the Colts back, but it takes an Indianapolis bounce back to the 17-yard line, and that's where Jack Tredeau and Indianapolis will begin when we return to Foxborough. Stint back in 1975 with the Indianapolis Colts. Ted Marchibroda, his team engineered the best seasonal turnaround in NFL history. They went from 2-12 to 10-4 and won the AFC East title. Last season, the Colts were 1-15, and if they win 3 of their last 4, they will have the biggest turnaround ever for a 1-15 club. So the turnaround master is working his magic once again at Indianapolis.
Well, I know a little bit about Ted Marchibroda. He was the offensive coordinator in Chicago in 1980, and he did a lot of good things with our guys. Wasn't there really long enough, but the thing that's impressive about this team's turnarounds thus far this year is their best 3 players, super blue chips, are all on the bench today. George, Ertman, and of course Coriat.
2nd and 7. And a flag on the play.
You know, I met Steve Entman, the first pick in last year's draft, but, you know, he just got out of surgery this week. I'd like to extend good wishes to him, Dan. He's going to be a big factor.
Ball start, number 75, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Ron Mattis.
I think we're going to have someone jump here on the right side. Mattis here on the left side of your screen. You'll see him pulling back a little bit early. I cannot believe Dan Hicks just bumped my telestrator right in the middle of my diagram. I'm teasing it, Danny. There we saw Ron Mattis, the left tackle. Again, he's only been there 3 weeks. It's hard to come up with these audibles, worrying about line stunts, and, of course, listen to the quarterback's cadence on a critical down like this.
Dan Hampton throwing around allegations here in the booth as Jack Tredeau's pass is complete to Langhorne. You didn't think I would just leave that alone.
Well, when you're in New England, controversy will always swirl, Dan.
Oh, yes. 6-0 Indianapolis, 8:50 left in the third quarter. And the Indianapolis Colts, who dominated the first half statistics, but were only able to muster a couple of Dean Biasucci field goals, so it's anybody's game. The Colts have lost 14 out of the last 17 games to New England in this series since the Colts moved to Indianapolis. Kerry Cash, the tight end, and he'll pick up the first down for the Colts.
Well, Deion Lambert was in a real loose man-on-man coverage there on Cash, the tight end. And a lot of times when you send a blitz, those guys got to play off a little bit because they're in man-on-man coverage. If they get burned, it could be 6. There, Kerry Cash able to get the corner off of him far enough to catch the ball and make the first.
Well, that is Kerry Cash's 5th catch of the game. Charles Arbuckle, who had 9 receptions last week, has only caught 1 ball so far this afternoon. 1st and 10 for Indianapolis at their own 31. Over. Maybe a yard. More penalty flags on the scene.
Well, we're talking about Charlie Arbuckle. Last week, 9 catches, 106 yards, and you know, one-hit wonder or a diamond in the rough. It remains to be seen, but last week he was a big part of this offense. I think they need to find him again.
Holding, number 53, offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Well, the Colts are going to have to clean up the penalties before they're going to get anything going. Ray Donaldson, the center, called for the holding call for Indianapolis. And the penalty yards racking up for both clubs.
Well, you've always heard it. Shoot yourself in the foot. It looks like Indianapolis has already emptied their gun, and New England only has 1 bullet left. You cannot go through a season and be completely penaltyless, but you can't have this many and be effective.
1st and 20 for Tredeau. He'll step up and slide in at the 22-yard line. And with 7:35 left in the third quarter, and the Colts with a 6-0 lead over the Patriots. Let's send you back to our New York studios and Bob Costas.
Well, what about these Buffalo Bills? What's going on here? 17-point favorite a week ago at Indianapolis, lose an OT. Favored by a similar margin this week at home against the Jets. As you see, they trail 17-10 in the third, following Brad Baxter's 2nd touchdown of the day. That 9-yard run gave him 94 yards rushing for the afternoon. 17-10 New York.
So the Buffalo Bills struggling again this week. The Colts beat them last week in overtime. Indianapolis on the 2nd and 18 call comes up with nothing as Culver wasn't able to get much yardage. Brent Williams and Ray Agnew up front to stop him.
Well, here's Brent Williams, and of course, here's Tim Go. They're going to have a stunt right here. Brent Williams will come, or excuse me, Ray Agnew will come right over into the path of the ball carrier. When you do that, you go back to the huddle, your chest is out, you're saying, I'm smarter than an offensive coordinator. And I only get paid player money.
An Agnew-Williams sandwich. 3rd and 18 for the Colts. Tredeau, complete to Cash. Well short of the first down, and that'll bring out the punting unit again for Indianapolis. Gain of 12. As Ron Stark comes out to punt it away, and we'll get another chance to see Scott Zolak.
The Zolak attack. You know, I'm very impressed with both teams' defenses. Obviously, these offenses are struggling, but especially New England. They have nothing to play for, but they're still putting up a big fight. And I think that's Dick McPherson. I mean, that's his soul, his commitment to these players. They're laying it out there again on the line for him today, even though he's not the acting head coach.
Walter Stanley back deep for the Patriots. Long snap count for Ron Stark. And the southpaw hits a pretty good punt as Stanley backs up to his 24-yard line, and he'll go down with a gain of about a 4-yard return. Was the ball jarred loose?
I think the whistles had already blown. It was more or less a setting duck. The officials make the right call.
41-yard punt for Ron Stark. 3-yard return for Walter Stanley. And we'll bring you back to see the Zo-Man in a moment. Dan Hicks along with Dan Hampton. You flustered me so much already this afternoon. 6-0 Indianapolis leading the New England Patriots. And a reminder, a special afternoon, great NFL action here on NBC next Saturday, beginning with NFL Live, and then the Denver Broncos fighting for their playoff lives. Hopefully John Elway will be quarterbacking that team next week. And the Buffalo Bills, who are losing to the New York Jets this afternoon with a 9-3 record, they're fighting for home field advantage in the playoffs. So a big one next Saturday, special edition here on NBC. Scott Zolak in his second series for New England, in for Hugh Millen. Hands off to John Vaughn. John Baylor, the strong safety, ran him out of bounds. So Zolak led an excellent drive for New England in his first series.
7 of the Patriots will be second down and 11.
Well, we talked about it early in the game, how this offensive structure is thus that even if you see your play called by the offensive coordinator and by the quarterback is running into the teeth of a defense, they basically have the mindset, just go ahead and run it. We'll see what we can get. Right then, a strong safety on the line of scrimmage. The play had no chance.
Loss of 1, second and 11. Straight drop back by Zolak. Zolak, the pass batted at the line of scrimmage. And I believe it might have been Tony Siragusa, the nose tackle, who had the deflection on Zolak's pass, which is intended for Ben Coates.
Well, Tony is one of those guys really active inside between the tackles, able to get his hand up. You'll see Tony right here working on a double team. You're not going to get many sacks, but you can get your hand up and knock down an awful lot of balls, and that's what a smart guy like Tony just did.
The Goose, his nickname, number 98, Tony Siragusa.
The loose goose flapping a wing in there, gets some big knockdown.
Flapped a big one there. 3 of 9 on third down conversions. The Patriots are this afternoon. This is 3rd and 11. Zolak rifling it downfield. It was intended for Timpson, incomplete. Chris Good was there defensively. And Zolak once again comes out as the punting unit comes in for New England.
Well, again, the New England offense in the 3rd and medium, 3rd and 6, 7, 8. They try to go for a 30, 40-yard pass downfield. Now, I don't know how smart that is. You need to keep the chains moving like Indianapolis has done. You can't do it going for the bomb every 3rd down.
Clarence Verdun stands at his 39 to await the McCarthy punt. Backs up to the 36, looking for room around the left side. Nothing there. Tries to turn it up and actually loses some yardage as Verdun gets back to the 35-yard line. 4:48 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and our score still 6-0 Indianapolis. Well, Jeff George has missed the past 3 weeks with a broken hand. He's not expected to be back until 2 weeks. So in essence, the Indianapolis Colts have $4 million in salaries on the bench if you include George, Entman, and Quentin Correa. Jack Tredeau on first down, firing downfield, and a nice catch made by Jesse Hester, but he was out of bounds, so it'll be incomplete.
Jesse Hester was the intended receiver. That'll come back second down and 10.
There was a pretty good toss by Tredeau. Hester makes a great adjustment on it, just getting the ball in a yard or so out of bounds. But still, it is amazing to me, Dan, how these guys are trying to throw the ball down the field in this type of temperature and wind.
Well, getting back to Jack Tredeau, of course, in for Jeff George, it's been inconsistency which has plagued the Colts this year. They beat previously unbeaten Miami, Then they lose to the previous winless Pats here 3 weeks ago. And then they beat the Bills last week. And that has to do with the injuries and the penalties and everything else, as Rodney Culver gets the carries. But that seemed to be the underlying theme as we talked to the Colt players yesterday.
Well, a lot of times when we talked about the different coaches, 4 in the last 8 years, Dwayne Biggett told us about it. When you don't have that stability, you don't have a guy that's going to be there, 3 and 5 and 8 years. It takes time, and especially when you got a guy like Jeff George, who is the first pick in the draft, and he hasn't been able to develop as quickly because he hasn't been able to play. Your team's going to sputter.
Jack Tredeau, folks, is just simply the backup. Ted Marchibroda told us that Jeff George is his quarterback. And Tredeau, a little miscommunication there with Rodney Culver, who had come out of the backfield. It looked like Tredeau wanted him out patterned, and Culver had curled in.
Well, again, in this offensive structure, Jack Tredeau held out during training camp. Really never got a lot of snaps until Jeff George was injured. He's still on the come as far as learning this thing. He didn't make the right read at that point there, but he's done a pretty good job of keeping the chains going down the field today.
So once again, Ron Stark has come on to punt. Walter Stanley is back deep. Low-scoring affair, 6-0, just under 4 minutes left in the third.
Well, I think a return's going to play a big part in this game. As cold as it is, these guys are going to start loafing on the way down. Somebody's going to pop them.
End over end, Stanley awaits for it, and he'll fair catch it at the 30-yard line.
It's funny.
So the Colts and Patriots locked up in a low-scoring duel here at Foxborough. And we'll see what the Patriots can do when we come back. The feet of Indianapolis Colts punter Ron Stark, and he's on that device there to try to get the mud out of his cleats, falling for the second time this game. Only a 33-yard punt by the NFL's leading punter, but by the time this game is over with, Greg Montgomery of Houston may surpass him. Scott Zolak runs out of the pocket for New England, and we'll step aside from Foxborough and once again send it back to Bob Costas in the War of New York studios.
All right, Dan, Seattle pulling a surprise in Pittsburgh, at least at this point. Stan Gelbaugh rolling right, hitting John L. Williams with the 3-yarder. They take the lead. They're about a 2-touchdown underdog, and Pittsburgh hasn't lost at home all year. 5-0 at Three Rivers, 9-3 overall, but the Seahawks at 2-10, leading 14-10 in the fourth.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. The Seahawks.
That defense in there is keeping them in every game, going to make them win some.
Leading the Steelers. Zolak's pass complete to the tight end Marv Cook. Chip Banks is there to meet him. And Chip Banks having another outstanding season for the Colts. He leads the team with 9 sacks. In fact, it's his highest total for Banks since his Pro Bowl season back in 1985 when he had 11. The 10-year veteran at a USC. He and Bickett, the former Trojans, in that linebacking corps.
Well, Rick Venturi, the defensive coordinator, says, this guy isn't as great as he once was, but every once in a while, he can be as good as he's ever been.
Nickel package for the Colts on 3rd and 5. Zolak slings it over to the 40-yard line. Incomplete. Marv Cook, the intended receiver. John Baylor, the strong safety, on the coverage.
Well, I think for New England to move the ball, you're going to have to hear the name of Marv Cook an awful lot. And that was the right idea, trying to get the ball to your big tight end. He's a big target there. Cook slips right at a crucial point in his pattern, unable to get back out to catch the ball. Good throw, though.
Another punting situation for the Patriots, who have been shut out twice in a season for the first time in 20 years, and are being shut out by Indianapolis here in the third quarter as Clarence Burdan waits for a fair catch, juggles it, and is able to hang on. And Indianapolis will work from its 21-yard line. 39-yard punt by McCarthy. Buffalo today, part of our NFL lineup next Sunday here on NBC. 6-0 Indianapolis, 2:24 to go in the third quarter as Rodney Culver gets the carry for the Colts. But nothing making sense in the NFL this season at all, as the second half of our doubleheader ends out Week 14 of the NFL as the Chargers host Cincinnati.
Well, I don't know if it doesn't make sense, but I think what it does make sense of is the word parity. You know, this was the design of the commissioner years back. I think we're finally arriving at it. A lot of teams still in it this late in the season.
And the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills, a special edition of our Saturday lineup next week on NBC as well. 2nd and 9 on the 1-yard gain from Culver. He'll go again. Culver has replaced Anthony Johnson this afternoon, and 2 calls. The New England Patriots defense there to meet him, led by Vincent Brown, the leading tackler for New England. Vincent Brown out of Mississippi Valley State.
Vincent Brown here is going to attack the line of scrimmage. He knows what's going on. He says, hey, they're going to try to run that dive play. You're not going to block me. Attacks the line of scrimmage, and that's the mark of a great linebacker. They don't float. They attack people.
Well, Vincent Brown, Mississippi Valley State alum, he was there when Jerry Rice was there and really credited Jerry Rice. With scouts coming to Mississippi Valley State, they had a chance to see him as well. Tredeau gets this one out to Bill Brooks, and the veteran wide receiver fighting for first down yardage will be short.
A very interesting call there by Joe Collier. He blitzed the cornerback, Deion Lambert, number 28, forcing a quick kind of a balloon throw, which I think stopped Indianapolis from reaching the first down marker. Good call by Joe Collier to put a little pressure on Jack Tredeau.
Well, there is the TSS, also known as the team staff spokesman for New England, Dante Scarnecchia. What a position, a tough position for Dante Scarnecchia, taking over for Dick McPherson in his absence. Because you're not really the interim head coach at all. You're simply there as the team spokesman as they've come out to measure.
Well, a lot of times this is where he's most beneficial, making penalty calls and time management on the clock. He's done a good job in the absence of McPherson. You know, and a lot of times in the crucial moments of a game like this, a guy that's all caught up calling the defense or the offense would make a mistake. Well, he's a special teams coach. He's not going to be that concerned. He'll be able to keep a clear mind.
The Colts will punt. Ron Stark has come in on 4th down and less than a yard. So Ted Marchibroda not having confidence in his offense at all. And probably the good call because they were only at the 30-yard line, deep in their own territory. So Walter Stanley calls for the fair catch at his own 32. And with 27 seconds left, the Colts continue to lead the Patriots 6-0. Punt of 36 yards for Ron Stark, as Scott Zolak comes out again.
Again, you know, a lot of folks say, well, why would you have Dante Scarnecchia be the team staff spokesman, you know, instead of an interim coach? Well, I think it was a good decision because he knows all the players. Being the special teams coach, he can relate to everybody and try to communicate with them until the coach McPherson gets back.
John Stevens, the blocking back, goes the opposite direction, and Leonard Russell gets the call up the middle. As we approach the end of the 3rd quarter, 17 seconds and counting. Dwayne Bickett on the stop of Leonard Russell. Well, Dante Scarnecchia's team still alive, even though it's being shut out. They trail Indianapolis 6-0 as we approach the 2-minute warning in Foxborough. And we'll start the 4th quarter when we come back, right after these messages from your local station. The New England Patriots were shut out by the Atlanta Falcons in Georgia last week, 34-0, and that shutout streak has continued here today as they've been shut out for the first 3 quarters of this game. So it's now been 9 straight quarters since New England has scored.
Well, not only have they been shut out, they haven't even threatened to score, and that's the thing that, you know, defensive players like to see. They want their offense down there scaring the other team. Anyway, there you see 33 yards for 3 quarters. That's pretty bad.
2nd and 5 for Scott Zolak. Has some time, but holds on to the ball a little bit too long and takes the sack.
Well, I tell you what, Scott Zolak, if he does have something that he has to work on an awful lot, is realizing the difference between man-on-man and zone coverage. Indianapolis rushed 3 guys and dropped 7 guys off to cover and had 1 guy in the hole for the scramble. He still couldn't find anybody to throw to and got trapped.
Patriots sacked 63 times last season, 58 times this season so far, 5 today. That was the worst in the NFL last season, and they're on pace to surpass last season's 63 yards.
If they don't get it done, if they don't get it moving, they'll set the record today.
Zolak on 3rd and 10. And make it 59 for the season. Or did he get the pass ruled an incompletion? Dwayne Bickett and Sam Clancy were there to pressure him.
Looks like it's a sack. They're marking the ball back somewhere inside the 20. Here again, it looks like they're trying to set up a screen. Zolak's back here. It looks like a late screen left. Now, you only run the screen when the defense is going to bring everybody on the snap. There looked like a delayed rush by the Colt linebackers. Never set the timing up. The sack.
4th and 26. McCarthy trying to get it away and does so. Taken by Clarence Verdun at the 46, and just a few yards return for Clarence Verdun, who's had a tough time getting any return yardage today. Dion Lambert made the special teams tackle downfield for New England. A punt of 37 and only a 4-yard return for Verdun. Well, coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. What a matchup it is. The Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers in Candlestick. Dan Marino and the Dolphins taking on the 49ers, who of course already have a spot in the playoffs. Jerry Rice needs just 1 touchdown pass to pass Steve Largent to become the NFL's all-time leader in touchdown receptions. 1st and 10, ball at the 48 for Indianapolis. Tredeau's pass complete. Kerry Cash hauled it in and looked for some yardage to midfield, but didn't quite get there as the clock continues to run. Start of the 4th quarter. The only scoring a couple of Dean Biasucci field goals for the Colts.
Midfield will be 2nd and 8.
Jack Tredeau checking that playlist on the wrist. Lowest attendance mark since the strike year here. 19,000, just more than that on hand here at Foxborough. As Tredeau gets Charles Arbuckle, who makes his 2nd catch of the year, and he tries to fire up the Indianapolis offense.
Well, I think that's that's smart. I said earlier, if this offense is going to get untracked and start moving the ball and get some positive yards, you've got to find Arbuckle. This young guy is such a good receiver. There you see him run by a linebacker, settle down in the zone, and he's nifty enough to turn it up and get a 1st down. Actually, halfway back down to the 1st down mark.
Arbuckle with a first 100-plus yard receiving game by a Colt tight end since Raymond Chester 15 years ago. And this time Arbuckle gets it again. Free agent signing at a UCLA. Never had an NFL reception before last week, and now he's got his 3rd this week after hauling in 9 last week.
Well, a lot of folks haven't heard about him. He was on New Orleans' roster last year, never played. Spent some time in Cleveland and San Diego, and now he winds up in Indianapolis. And I think they found a guy that could be like another Ozzie Newsome, a tight end that played for the Cleveland Browns for an awful long time. It was real nifty in finding little holes in there and getting some good 6, 8, 10-yard gains every time he threw him.
He made some acrobatic catches last week in the win over the Bills. It looked like a wide receiver. Rodney Culver fighting for yardage and 1st down marker. On the 2nd down, he needed 4. Ray Agnew and Tim Goad, the nose tackle, tried to prevent him from reaching the 1st down.
Well, that defensive front of the Patriots has played well today. Guys like Agnew and Tim Goad, Brent Williams, Vincent Brown, they're not giving up the ship. They're going to go ahead and fight it out to the last snap.
Only 2 yards on the carry, so 3rd down and 2, and a critical 3rd down attempt here by the Colts.
You know, this defense has kept them in it. Well, an interception for a touchdown. They're back in the lead.
Ball is at the
has not done anything.
32-yard line. And Tredeau comes up big as he connects with Reggie Langhorne, and he'll get the first down. The ball at the 21-yard line now. Gain of 10.
Well, I think the longer that Jack Tredeau is the operating quarterback for this Colt team, the more he will find Reggie Langhorne is a good guy to go to. Reggie's a big physical guy, is not scared of running that slot where you're inside. You've got to run a quick slant. You're going to get hit by a big safety or linebacker. This guy can do it. He's done it for a long time. He'll continue to do it for your team.
Big third down pickup for Langhorne. 1st and 10. Ball at the 21. This is Culver. And he might have fumbled the football, and he did. New England recovers.
Again, the defense making the play. It looks like Ray Agnew got a shot on the ball, knocking it free. And who else would be around the football but Vincent Brown?
Vincent Brown comes up with a recovery, and we'll see how Rodney Culver mishandled the ball.
Well, if you look right here, you'll see on the right of your screen, this is Agnew, 92. He's going to slant down inside. Now you'll see him strip the ball. Actually, he has already been stripped. It was number 96, Brent Williams.
Huge turnover for New England as Indianapolis had driven down to the 21. And this is Leonard Russell around the right side. So now with 10:28 to go, the Patriots begin this drive deep in their own territory, and they really have to get something going offensively if they're going to have any thoughts of winning this game.
Well, they've got to get something out of this drive. I'm convinced of that, and I like to see an offense come back after a critical turnover late in the game. You throw like an 18-yard slant, something like that. The 49ers did it for years with Jerry Rice and those guys. Hit them quick, catch them off balance. A lot of times you can score in 1 or 2 plays.
Zolak is only 2 for 8 of 17 yards since taking over for Hugh Millen. They'll keep it on the ground to Russell. Wayne Bickett made the tackle.
Here you see the crowd getting restless. They want to see the offense open it up and at least give them an opportunity to win. Now, if you're an offense that has been able to run the ball for 4 and 5 yards a try most of the day, this is good play calling. Go ahead and grind the clock out. Put 7 in position to win. But this offense has sputtered. I think they need to go ahead and try to get a quick strike. If they don't, they still have time for another try.
Well, we'll certainly see Zolak pass on 3rd and 4. Ball on the New England 24. 9.5 minutes to go. The Patriots trail at 6-0. And did they get the playoff in time?
It looks like the left tackle, Pat Harlow, pulled out a little bit early. It'll be 3rd and 9 now.
Ball start. Number 70 and 77. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Prior to the snap.
Both Reggie Redding and Pat Harlow moved.
You'll see these guys here. Pat Harlow playing over there, the left side, a hot spot for the injured Bruce Armstrong. Doing a good job, just came out a little bit quick. He's going to be a dandy player. It's just not his natural position, Dan.
Instead of 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 9 for New England. Zolak complete to Fryer. 1st down.
I'm not sure, but I think Irving Fryer ran a wipe-off play coming from the left side. You'll see him go very shallow underneath and try to wipe his guy off. They're creating a gap large enough for Zolak to get in the ball in time to get to the 1st down.
Tony Stargell drags Fryer out of bounds, but not before the veteran picks up 15 yards, and there's the emotional Scott Zolak.
You know, a play like that will work 2 or 3 times a game and be big for you. You can't go to the well that often, but when you do, a lot of times it's a big, crucial play.
Looked like the right elbow of Irving Fryer a little banged up as he heads to the sideline. 1st and 10. Zolak's pass off the mark intended for Timpson. 37, Chris Good took a shot at the pass.
But then again, on 1st down, they're trying to get the ball downfield. I think that's good. It wasn't a particularly good pass. In fact, very interceptable. I think Scott Zolak's going to be glad that wasn't intercepted and brought back for a touch. But still, I think you've got to give this team a chance to win, and you've got to move the ball through the air at least half the time from here to the end of the game.
2nd and 10. 8:30 to go in the game. Plenty of time for Zolak. A flag on the play as Irving Fryer checked back into the ball game, and the pass was intended for Irving.
It'll be interesting to see what that is. It's a side judge. Now, they usually watch the tight ends and holding off of the corners. Hard to say who's going to be on, looks like, against New England.
Illegal motion, number 83, offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Once again, penalties driving the Patriots back. Michael Timpson called for the penalty.
They'll have to reload those guns to shoot some more bullets in their feet. Looks like Michael Timpson may have turned.
Seattle 14, Pittsburgh 10, third quarter.
It looks like this is Timpson here. We're going to see him here off the line of scrimmage. He'll come in motion if he turns up too quickly before the snap. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that. There is nothing absolutely wrong with that. That's a terrible call by the official. There's nothing wrong with that.
That brings up 2nd and 15. Zolak, another pass batted down at the line of scrimmage, and it's Sam Clancy who batted down 3 passes at the line of scrimmage against Atlanta last week, and that time he got in Zolak's face.
Well, I think a lot of folks realize that Sam Clancy has a major college background in basketball. He looked like a big forward in there swatting the ball out of someone's reach, trying to get it inside for a layup. That guy right there is huge. He's 6'7", about 270 with a huge wingspan, and he can knock down an awful lot of passes.
Matter of fact, basketball was his sport. He played on Bob Knight's gold medal Pan Am team back in 1979.
That's incredible.
Shotgun, Zolak working on 3rd and 15, going downfield. Pass is overthrown. Greg McMurtry was well covered. Jason Belser was in the vicinity. And that'll bring out the punting unit for New England, so they're not able to move the ball and keep the drive alive. And Sean McCarthy will punt it away with 8:15 to go.
Well, again, I thought that was going to have to be a big drive for New England. Now the clock works against them. They're not a smooth enough offensive team to work that well late in the stages of these games.
And we're not seeing Clarence Verdun back deep for Indianapolis. He's had his problems today. And this is Mike Pryor from the 32. And he'll be chased out of bounds at the 40. 8:06 left here in Foxborough. The Colts up 6-0 over New England. And the Colts over New England as well, 6-0. 1st and 10 from the 39. Tredeau hands off to Rodney Culver. New England unable to get anything going on its last drive. And we're under the 8-minute mark. The only score of the game, Dean Biasucci, a couple of field goals for Indianapolis. Charlie Bauman missed his only field goal attempt today, was a 48-yarder, so it is 6-0 as the Colts continue to try to hang on to some kind of postseason hopes. They're 5-7.
Well, if New England has any chance in this game, they're going to have to get the defense to get it back in a hurry. 3 and out, maybe 5 and out.
The gain of 1 for Culver. Trudeau's pass complete to Langhorne. And he's met at the 45 by Maurice Hurst.
A lot of times that kind of a hit in this weather would create a fumble. That's a great job by Langhorne, just hanging on to the ball, making that key reception. But, you know, talking about this Indianapolis offense, you've got to appreciate the patience of Jack Tredeau today, Dan. He really has made a lot of smart decisions. Instead of trying to get greedy, he's kept the ball underneath, safe and sound, threw the ball to the backs, get the chains going.
3rd down and 4, critical conversion for the Colts if they're to keep this drive alive, and they do. The pass complete to Bill Brooks. David Poole there a little bit late, and that'll get the 1st down and 10 for Indianapolis, and the drive stays alive at the New England 48.
Well, now that
the 48.
the Colts have driven the ball down inside the New England territory, look for Jack Tredeau to face a couple of blitzes here. Joe Collier is a guy that he'll give you a little bit, but when he has to make something happen, he'll blitz some people. And look for Rembert and Vincent Brown, the two inside linebackers, to be very active on these blitzes. They're going to come, and they're going to come hard.
Both teams have 3 timeouts left as we approach the 6-minute mark. Culver, maybe a yard. Brent Williams, the stop.
Defensively, Brent Williams on Culver.
And right now, the Colts will try to take as much time off the clock with 5:45 to go.
No gain on the play.
So if the Patriots end up with a last chance
for
for a winning drive, they'll take as much time off the clock as possible. There's Scott Zolak, who has filled in all second half for Hugh Millen, who was injured on the last play of the first half. Further injury in that badly separated shoulder. On 2nd down and 10.
Colts staying with the 2 tight ends in this offense.
Tredeau, complete to one of those tight ends, Charles Arbuckle.
Complete to Charles Arbuckle. Tim Gordon defensively.
Gain of 6 for Arbuckle.
Gain of 6 on
And that'll bring up 3rd and 4.
2 down to 4.
Once again, the Patriots faced with another 3rd down conversion attempt for Indianapolis, and if they don't start digging in, they're going to run out of time.
Well, it's 3rd and a little bit more than 3, almost 4. Now, this is almost a certain pass down. Like I said, look for those guys to bring somebody on a blitz. Bringing somebody in a walk-up.
Tredeau's pass incomplete, and it'll bring up 4th down, so the New England Patriots will have an opportunity with Scott Zolak at the controls. They trail at 6-0, 4:35 left.
That was a mirror blitz. A linebacker, Howard, Howard, 99. You'll see him right here. He's locked up right there on the back, Culver. If he comes out, he's got him, but otherwise, just get in the passing lane. Come and try to make something happen. There he did, knocking the ball down.
So here's Ron Stark with Walter Stanley back at his 9th. Stark has been having his problems, only averaging 36 yards a punt today after coming into the game, averaging 46 yards to lead the NFL. This time a little more sure footing, and he hangs a beauty as Walter Stanley calls for the fair catch at the 10. So New England has 90 yards to go for the score, which would be a winning touchdown against the Colts. We'll find out. Well, Scott Zolak was extremely disappointed that he wasn't able to get the start in this game today. But with Hugh Millen out with an injured shoulder, Scott Zolak has the opportunity again of his young career. 1st and 10 from the 10. The Patriots trailing the Colts 6-0, 4:28 left. As Zolak whips around and finds John Stevens out of the backfield for a good game. Short of the 1st down, Jeff Harrod made the stop.
Well, the Patriots offense has been totally anemic today, but if there is one positive, they haven't turned the ball over. And if they don't turn it over now, I mean, that's inconsequential. They've got to get it down the field.
A gain of 8 to bring up 2nd down and 2, and Zolak brings him up to the line of scrimmage.
He was bringing John Stevens back into the game for a 2-back protection.
He'll pass on 2nd and 2. And he'll run for the 1st down. Across the 30, sliding into the 38. 1st and 10, New England. Gain of 19 for Zolak. They've spotted the ball at the 37. Patriots with all 3 of their timeouts left. Zolak in and out of the hands of John Vaughn. He should have hung on, but he couldn't. Eugene Daniel on the coverage, but Vaughn should have hung on to that one.
Well, John Vaughn in the backfield on his right. You'll see him come out quickly over to the left. He's a relief valve there. He did not watch the ball come into his hands. Heard footsteps.
Colts 6, Patriots nothing. 2nd and 10 from 37.
Vaughn, for the first time, did not start in 3 weeks. Leonard Russell got the starting call for New England. Right now, though, Dante Scarnecchia, the TSS, has 2nd down and 10, trailing 6-0, 3:43 left. That one intended for McMurtry, incomplete. So this will be the key play of the game, 3rd and 10 for Scott Zolak, and if he doesn't convert it, it would be tough for the Patriots to come back.
I would have to think that right now at this stage of the game they would go for it on 4th down. That may be a little bit wild, but I just don't know if their defense can get the ball back in time.
37.
It's 3rd down and 10.
Got trips to the left. Watch the white play.
Zolak will take the sack. Jeff Harrod dropped him down. And now, on 4th down and long, Sean McCarthy has come into punt for New England. 4th down and 18. Dante Scarnecchia doesn't seem to think that New England should go for it at this point.
Well, that's too far. If it had been 3rd and 6, or excuse me, 4th and 6 or 7, they would have won.
Mike Pryor back deep. Excellent punt by McCarthy, driving Pryor back to a fair catch at the 29.
So it'll be
6-0. Indianapolis leads it, and they have the ball. Colts with a 6-0 lead. New England electing to punt has put this game in the hands of its defense. New England, with all 3 timeouts left, has put the pressure on the defensive unit, which has not allowed an Indianapolis touchdown today. So if the New England Patriots get a chance to win it, the defense will give them that chance.
Well, I think that if they're going to get a chance to get back in it, they've got to get a turnover somewhere here in the next 4 or 5 plays. And I tell you what, Jack Tredeau has went back to bread and butter. He's been throwing the ball to the tight ends. We've got to find some way to jump those guys somewhere in that zone and make a break on the ball, hopefully pick it off for New England to get a chance to get back in it.
Colts will run the play clock, which is at 13. They'll give it all it can go, all the way down to less than 5 seconds. It's right now at 6 seconds. They get the playoff just in time. This is Culver. And the Patriots stop him for no gain. Ray Agnew made the stop for the Patriots with 2:16 left. Coming up next, the big game of the afternoon, Miami. At 8-4 on the season, traveling to Candlestick Park to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Most of these NBC stations, a big one, Miami trying to get on track, and the 49ers trying to keep their momentum as they head into the postseason.
That's a tough way to get back on track, isn't it?
I'd say so.
See those guys, the 49ers are smoking this year. You know, it looks like more than likely the Colts are going to run the ball. New England will call their 2nd timeout, let it run down to 2 minutes, and after the 2 minute, New England will take over with, say, a minute and 45 seconds, something like that, with 1 timeout. That's enough time if they get the ball down the field in a hurry.
Colts on offense, it's 3rd down and 9 from the 30.
Critical 3rd down for Indianapolis. The Patriot defense digging in. Rodney Culver gets a few. That'll bring up 4th down. Clock continues to run under 2:10. And we'll hit the 2-minute warning.
4th down.
Ron Stark has come in to punt it away for Indianapolis. New England, and Dante Scarnecchia will get its final chance. The 2-minute warning in Foxborough. The Colts up 6-0 over the Patriots. The Patriots defense dug down, stopped Indianapolis, and here's Ron Stark to punt on 4th and 6. Walter Stanley is back deep for New England at his 27. And they'll set up the return for Stanley. An excellent punt by Stark. Drives Stanley back at his 22. He'll get to the 30, maybe the 31, and that is where New England will start with 2 timeouts left. They trail at 6-0, a minute 47 left. So an excellent punt by Ron Stark, a 46-yarder. A pretty good return by Walter Stanley has put Scott Zolak and the Patriots in business for one final chance against the Colts. And the Colts are in their nickel package. Zolak, pass complete. Marv Cook, short of the first down. Clock continues to roll.
Second and 3.
Gain is 7 for Cook. Under a minute and a half to go. Patriots still with 2 timeouts. And that will pick up the first down as Greg McMurtry fights for the yardage. But the clock continues to roll. And now it is stopped with a minute 12 left. And the referee winds it up again. Zolak in trouble. Got the pass away. So he was...
Well, Dwayne Bickett came around the back door on Pat Harlow. They had Kiv and Turner in there for extra protection. Turner's working up on the right side instead of helping Harlow on the back side. Zolak never saw him coming.
And he was unable to avoid the sack. So that brings up 2nd and 22. Zolak, right side. Incomplete. Irving Fryer was the intended receiver. Chris Good was with him all the way.
Again, Scott Zolak isn't one of those guys that you'd like to be bringing you from behind. I think his future will be a guy that can scramble, dink the ball here and there. I don't know if this is the right thing. He needs to just go ahead and move those chains. There's still enough time with 2 timeouts. You can't get locked up and be in long yardage on 3rd and 4th down here. You'll cut your own throat.
Patriots backed up at their 34, 3rd and 20. Zolak passed for a diving Walter Stanley, who was unable to catch up to it. So that will bring up 4th and 20 with 42 seconds to go.
Again, in those 3rd and very long situations, you just want to get half of it back on 3rd down and then be able to get the other half on 4th. There he went for the whole ball of wax. Melted down.
Would have been nice to get a good chunk of yardage on 3rd and 20 and come back with a reasonable situation on 4th down, but right now they need 20 or the Indianapolis Colts will be able to run this game out.
Maximum protection.
Pump fake Zolak up top. Pass intended for Ben Coates, broken up by number 29, Jason Belser. So Indianapolis takes over on downs and will simply run out the clock. And the fans here at Foxborough are exiting by the hundreds.
They'll have the ball.
Well, Jason Belser, the safety, just hanging in a 2 deep zone, makes a great play back across for the ball there. You know, what you don't want to be in is 4th and forever and have to catch that ball to continue on down the field. Best on 1st down, try to get 6, and 2nd get 5 or 6, and you just continue to move the chains. That's something Scott Zolak will learn in time. You can't get the whole pie down in one bite. You got to take little ones here and there.
The numbers for Zolak: 6 for 20 for 56 yards. Jack Tredeau will take a knee for Indianapolis. And the Patriots, will they use a timeout? They should, because they're only down 6-0 and anything can happen. So they're down to their last timeout with 29 seconds to go. And we'll bring it back to Foxborough. The Colts look like they're going to hang on to a 6-0 shutout over New England.